Welcome, fellow Mavens, to another episode of This Not the Right Show. Fuck! Alright, retake it. I'm sorry. I run 3 shows a day and I got confused for minutes. Alright. I'm sorry. You're cutting that out of the podcast, so we're clear. You had to be their moment. Okay. Hey, Psychonauts! Welcome to another episode of Psychotronic Coast to Coast. We're your wonderful hosts. I am Skinslip, and that over there is Owen. And we watched a movie about giant robots punching each other in the dick. Those dicks were made of chainsaws, by the way. And so what do you think, Neil? Owen? Neil? No, Owen?
It was my first time watching it.
And did it meet your expectations of giant robot goodness?
Yeah, I was entertained.
It's a lot more giant robot goodness than Crash and Burn. So, all right. Yeah. So I guess we'll just go through the plot and we'll talk about it. So the movie opens with a segment of film that was shot before the rest of the movie, in which you get investors by the special effects crew, whose names are all escaping me right now. That's cool. I'm awesome like that. David Allen did the effects for this, or him in his shop. So it opens with person's name. Sorry, Alexander. That's right. The Alexander's fighting another whatever pilot for the heroes, the good guys, and he beats the shit out of him, and then he yields, and then Alexander steps on him and says, fuck your shit, and ends that dude's life and takes over whatever territory they were taking over, because they're trying to conquer the world. And all wars, by the way, all wars have been abolished. Instead, we fight with giant robots to minimize casualties.
Yeah, that's kind of a weak plot, but
it's an excuse to punch each other in the face with giant robot fists. All right, so then we get the introduction to our hero, Achilles. Achilles is one of the last American, or I should say Western coalition mech pilots that have been like natural born, because natural born babies are kind of rare. It's not explicitly stated in the film, but it's an undertone. It's just a bunch of prenatal posters and like the worship of like pregnant person, like they're always talking about test tube babies, and they're like test tube babies are looked down upon. It's like kind of like a jealousy because they can keep having babies, but like test tubes can have babies, but I can't, you know. So anyway, that got sidetracked with subtext. That's kind of a subtext for this movie. I've seen this movie legitimately 40 plus times in my life. Legitimately, it's on TV every fucking weekend on TNT. It's why I'm so shocked you've never seen this movie. Shocked.
I never even heard of it until you mentioned it.
Wow, it just blew my mind. Anyway, I love this movie. It's great. And then during the course of this movie, I said, hey, you know, you can see all the influence on Pacific Rim, right? And he's like, I've never seen Pacific Rim. I'm like, what? He's never seen Pacific Rim? What the hell?
I didn't have any interest in it.
Oh my god. All right. That's fine. I'll make you watch it in the show. We watched a movie about giant robots with chainsaw dicks, chainsaw cocks.
There was only one chainsaw cock.
But there's no confirmation on whether he did or did not have a chainsaw cock. He just never got to use it. I assume all robots come equipped with a chainsaw cock.
And I never got my explanation of how he moved all 4 legs.
Well, that's easy. So when you move your right leg, it moves the right front leg and the back left leg. When you move the left leg, it moves the back, the front left leg, and back right leg. It's really easy to do that, actually. If you notice when animals run, one or two paws are on the ground, and And the one, if it's one, they're really close to each other, so it's kind of like a wheelbarrow motion. But yeah, anyway, that's once again too much detail. So Achilles and Alexander square off at Death Valley. The odds are not in Achilles' favor. They're fighting, and Alexander is like not exactly doing well. And they go to the melee portion, and Alexander breaks the rules and shoots a rocket fist. That's right, a rocket fist at Achilles, who at the stands. I think he was trying to shoot Achilles or whatever. I don't remember what. He was just shooting the stands like a douchebag, wasn't he?
Pretty much, because Achilles was on the ground, and the fist was just heading towards the crowd.
Right, and so Achilles jumps up and blocked it, but it knocked him into the crowd, and he killed 500 people.
300.
Oh,
come on, don't stretch it out.
Hey.
Where I said,
better, right?
Yeah, I said, big deal. I mean, they knew what they were getting into. And then, of course, apparently, I think the same as the tubies, as they call them, because it affected Achilles, and they're like, oh, this is a draw, and there's gonna have to be another fight, and he's like, nah, I retire.
That was his 10th and final fight. It didn't matter how it ended. He fought
and
it.
Then, the tubies were like, yeah, who cares? They signed the waivers. So big deal. They died.
Such a terrible thing to say. Anyway.
I mean, if you're dumb enough to...
It's a terrible thing to say, regardless.
Fight.
Yeah, but we don't punish dumb people for being dumb, all right? We should
dead.
Do that. Oh, my God. Anyway. Yeah, so Alexander and Achilles get an altercation in a bar, and Achilles like, too bad, I'm retired. And so Athena and the other test tube babies have a competition, which I'd love to see on fucking on TV right now, where they had to climb this giant jungle gym that likes to burn, shock, shoot water, and break off in their hands and try to murder them in many ways to get through a top hole to win the chance to fight Alexander. Athena wins, but barely.
The only thing close to it would be the 3 stacked cage from WCW.
Oh, God. Which one? The one from Ready to Rumble or the other one?
The one that actually did it.
The actual 3 cages with the scaffold and shit? Yeah, that was a great one. That was actually a really fun event, too, and I can never remember which one that is. I've seen it like twice. Anyway.
I'll be called Ready to Rumble.
No. The Ready to Rumble cage is different than there's 2 different cages, triple cages.
It's true.
It's like War Games 2000, I think. I think that's the one.
Do they have to climb up the top?
You have to climb up the top and then fight down a scaffolding on the outside. Kind of fucking cool. Anyway.
That's the closest we ever got to that thing.
Future WCW podcast coming, I'm sure. God, that would be that's a terrible idea. I kind of like it. Anyway, so Achilles is chilling out, relaxing, all cool in his uncle's place with like his 19 kids. His aunt can still pump out babies, so they're still pumping out babies to do their part for humanity. And bravo, heroes of the public and all that shit. And he sees that Athena's gonna face Alexander, and he gets all the jellies and signs back up to fight fight Alexander. And Athena gets all jellies back and offended, as she should, and goes and starts honeydicking Achilles. He falls for it. She drugs him, and she takes his spot.
Well, they brawl a little bit too.
Yeah. But she honeydicked him,
Yeah. Gets tossed through shit. And then he randomly tries to kiss her during the fight, and she just bites him.
Had a tender moment, and she bites his fucking lip in the middle of a kiss. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then, so she sneaks on by dressing in the...
Also...
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Somewhere in there, we learned that Tex is the traitor.
Well, first of all, at the very beginning, to mention that how did they know about the weapons? Because we had secret weapons that they knew about, so there's a traitor, there's a leak, and there's a subplot about that. And Tex thinks it's the Asian guy, and the Asian guy doesn't like Tex, and turns out Tex is the traitor. Spoiler.
He's also racist.
Yeah, he is racist. Owen, you guessed it like 8 minutes into the movie, and tell us how you guessed it. What was your hint?
He had a black hat, and I didn't trust his accent.
So he spoke with a southern accent and had a black hat. So right there, it's a visual cue. Black hat cowboy, like the old 50s westerns. All the bad guys wore black hats. The good guys wore white hats. So there you go. That was actually really astute of you, because I never thought of that. I've seen the movie like 40 times. And I catch all the other subtext, but I didn't see that. So there's always something new you can learn from a movie, kids. Yeah. So then she sneaks on by dressing in the jock's gear, and they find out, and they try to stop her by stopping the elevator, and she climbs the fuck out in one of the badass sequences in the movie.
I like how they found out is when she was getting on, the guy gave her a attaboy, or aka slapped her ass.
Right.
And she turned around like, huh. And then it's like, wait a minute, you're not Achilles. And then she beats those guys up and gets on.
Achilles liked when I slapped his ass.
Give him the old attaboy.
Attaboy. Anyway, that's not that matters. It's just silly.
Yeah.
So she breaks out. The refs of the fight are like, well, we don't give a fuck who's piloting. Too bad. Yeah. So Athena and Alexander go at it. Alexander beats the shit out of her with a giant jackhammer cock fist, just like right in her face, like just like beating the shit out of her.
As soon as he fires the first time, like there's just fear in her eyes. She was done after that.
She's done. No, she got fucked. She got spooked. That was it. You guys saw that in Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar got spooked in a fight once in the UFC. He was fighting the big ass dude in Corwin. I think his name's Corbin. Anyway, fighting in like the first round, this dude just fucking wrecks house on Lesnar. That's the look. The oh shit, what did I get myself into? Oh fuck, Lesnar still won that fight, by the way. Anyway.
She did not. She did not.
She actually loses the fight. In fact, the coalition loses the fight. The refs are like, okay, stop, Alexander, chill. She lost. She's gonna counter. She lost. She won. And he's like, I don't give a shit. And he goes and he steps in the ref's shit, and the refs disqualify him. So now the coalition wins instead of the Confederation.
Yeah. And Achilles came out and got in there. That was a whole weird scene where he's like apparently he needs that outfit, I guess, to control it. And he's just taking it off her.
And shit, yeah.
And she's just like unconscious, and he's like ripping the helmet off her.
Taking her neck and shit.
Off. Then she kisses him, and then they carry her out, and then that's like the end of like that. Like there's no romance beyond that.
No, it's not important. It's not important to the plot. The movie ends in the best way possible.
Why is it even there?
The why is the romance is there. That's all you need to know. Movies you don't have to show the final. You don't need this happy-go-lucky kiss. It doesn't matter. You know that's gonna happen. She survived. He survived.
I assume that she died. She died as soon as they took him back.
Oh, glass half empty, motherfucker.
Anyways, robot fight.
Achilles gets up, beats the shit out of Alexander, and they fight a bit, and they go fly into space. And
for some reason,
Alexander hits Achilles' heel with a rocket and knocks him back to Earth. Hey-o! And they brawl some more. Achilles pulls out his Alexander pulls out his chainsaw cock and tries to chainsaw Achilles' face with it because, of course, overt sexuality, of course.
Yeah, he climbs out of his dead robot, runs behind, because earlier she cut off the guy's arm, the robot arm, which is the shooting one from earlier, which they added legs, but they didn't change that.
Well, there's not shooting. The fist shooting was not the illegal part. The illegal part was the time in which he did it.
I know, but
right
why
now they're not
wouldn't
even
you
in a
change
fight.
it?
They're not even in a fight. They're not in an official fight. They're just fighting each other because they're assholes.
But it seems like they change their weapons each time because they're like, oh, they know I can shoot a fist now. They probably have a counter.
Suppose.
But no. So there's this fist on the ground, and he just gets in the back and just
maybe he wanted
twists some wires Achilles.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. But I just like the fist is attached to nothing. There should be zero power source. And he just goes in there and he ties the little wires together and shoots the fist.
Hot wires the fist and punches.
And it hits the robot. And it just fucking explodes.
Like it's Rock'em Sock'em Robot hits him right in the chest. The head pops up and done.
Even though we saw earlier where the fist hits the guy's arm and he just falls over.
I thought my impression this whole time is that it's an exploding fist.
Yeah, the second time around, they're like, they'll know we'll shoot the fist.
He's like, oh, he'll block it, right? But now when he tries to block it, it'll blow up. That's the thing.
That's it.
That's the
I accept that.
Yeah. That's because that's totally what happened.
But hey, that guy's not dead. They're gonna fist fight now.
And they get out on the ground, they beat the shit out of each other. Pipes. It becomes a ECW circa 1996. I mean,
and then
like, all of them you'd be proud with how much fire's around them.
Good Lord, the ending.
Oh yeah, and then at the end, you know, he live, and then they just. That's the end.
We're both robot jocks.
It's robot jocks.
And like literally after that, credits.
He's like, all right, we live. Basically, and I love it. It's great.
I want that guy dead.
So, that's so Hollywood, though.
I didn't finish my bloodthirst.
Didn't satiate it. Oh god, I really love this movie to death. It's so cheesy. The effects are really charming.
Could have been a trick where they do this and then somehow he had something that shot out of his fist to kill him.
He punches him with the other fist. Like, fuck. Kicks him in the dick or whatever.
But it was very entertaining.
So, did you have anything else we need to talk about the movie? Like anything part?
Stop motion was entertaining.
Oh, I really liked
a lot of the stop motion when then they showed like people looked really weird. It wasn't like it was like the colors were off and you can like see where they cut around. I think that's how they do it. Nowadays they do it in the computer where they don't have that problem. But back then you had to film it with a bunch of people and then film it again, you know. So that's why it's darker. It worked.
That's why it's brighter on the other side, on the foreground, on the people, because it's been exposed to more light. That's the way it goes.
It just really stuck out every time you saw it.
Very prominent in older movies, especially on Blu-ray. DVD tends to hide it a little bit, but yeah, I agree. But it doesn't ruin it because you know it's just an older film. Just the way it goes. You could digitally clean that up, but that would betray the original source, honestly.
It's true.
Part of its charm is the fact that you can see the strings when the robot fist flies through the air, and that you can see the transitions, and you can see the difference between the foreground and the background. You know, that's all part of the charm. Yeah. The
fact that they're fighting for Alaska in a desert, but they also all congregate at the same bar.
Right? What? I don't get it. There's a lot of logical inconsistencies, but it's just all good fun. And Stuart Gordon is a great director. I thought the direction was really well done in this film. I mean, especially for a low-budget film. But, yeah, Stuart Gordon knows his shit, so.
I gave it a crash and burn.
2 jocks out of 2. Give it a crash and burn. Love it. All right. Yeah. Oh, so what are we watching next week? I forgot to ask you before we went live.
Well, I changed my mind from the other one, which you probably forgot anyways.
Cool.
So we're going to do some Freaky Farley.
Freaky Farley. All right, cool.
And dip back into some more Charles Roxburgh and Matt Farley.
All right. I'm down. So we'll watch Freaky Farley next week. And, yeah. We'll see you next time, folks. And, you have any last words?
Crash and burn.